Hun Payont, Ajarn Bee. I can share this to a group. Doesn't let me. Hun Payont, Ajarn Bee. Ajarn Bee. Ajarn Bee. Very, very preferred in Southeast Asia, and those who know, for his Hun Payont made from sometimes Wicha or Yasan or Gadat sa, different things, usually made from this kind of rattan type Yasan or Wicha, yeah, with wooden swords. So it's a Hun Payont ghost soldier. And as you can see, they're still in the traditionally temple-made casing. But you might see this, if I hadn't said, you might see these and think, oh, Ajan Loy Po Ngern. Yeah? But they're not. These ones are slightly lighter from his Looksit. They might have been made while Ajan Loy was still around, or after, but these are made by the Wicha inheritor. So the monk who, the master, Ajarn Bee, sorry, not monk, lay master, the sorcerer who he passed his Wicha Hun Payont. This is the ancient way of making Hun Payont amulets. See if I can zoom. Let's try and zoom with this stupid Facebook camera. You can look at the binding. Look at the style of the binding, because this is very important with how Ajan Loy and Ajarn Bee bound the Wicha or Yasan or rattan into, or hay, straw, into Hun Payont, and using the Dai Dang Akom Kiao or Dai Dang Akom Dang, Dai Dang Akom or Dai Kiao Akom, sorry, green or red sorcerer's cords, which you perform incantations whilst binding as the clothes. And of course, as you create the personified image of the spirit ghost soldier you wish to invoke within the inanimate form of the Hun Payont. Sorry to wobble, I'm sitting down. I'm trying to sit down. And I'm going to move the lamp over here. Okay. So, yeah. To look at the rattan, I'm really having problems with this lamp. I'm having problems with this lamp. The binding of the rattan has incantations, and the binding of the cords has incantations. The insertion of the sword has incantations. And apart from the complex incantations, there must always, with reanimation of inanimate objects, to imbue a spirit within. So this is necromancy of the type where you don't dig up a dead body. You use a natural substance, yeah, that can be considered sacred, or is just a fitting substance to use to empower and then make sacred, yeah, such as red cotton thread. It's actually Dai Dang Akom, it'd be Dai Trasang, a particular brand. Trasang means the conch brand, because monks used to use the white cords you see in rituals of monks in temples, sometimes on the roof like a yantra, like squares all knotted up, or sometimes with amulet blessings. You can see all the monks holding cords, and all the cords go to the amulets in the middle of the shrine room, so that their incantations and their meditations can travel along the cords into the amulets. So all of this has incantations, usually in Pali, Sanskrit, and should be understood. And actually, for the blessing of amulets, it is said, I received a publication whilst my Kruba Ajahn, I was a monk, he was a monk, he took me to Puttamonton, the World Buddhist Center in Puttamonton, to get his master's degree, to receive it. And I was given by one of the head monks there a book, indirectly, because my mentor spoke to him about me, and he gave the book for me. He said, give him this book, because my mentor did not do magic, and I was completely very sakyant and make amulets and incantations, and he talked about that. And so his teacher gave him the book and said, give him this book. And the book says basically, it goes back to the times of Somdet Pabuddha Janto. And have a look at another Hun Payong of Somdet Pabuddha Janto. And I totally agree with it. And it talks about jhana or dhyana or zen, because zen means dhyana, which means in English complete absorption, where you forget yourself. You know, when you stare at something and just forget yourself, you're not there anymore. You're actually in total peace. You're in nibbana. But jhana meditation is a different thing, because there's there's a watcher and a thinker. The thinker stops and the watcher observes, even without words. And that's when you get insight and notice the true nature of reality, of things, of life. Yeah? And that's also where psychic powers occur. And so it was said in this book, ADHD me, always digress, but it's important info, so that you know when they say, come back to the point of the guy who gave me the book, the monk who gave me the book. This book says that when you have the opening of the eyes of a Buddha image ritual, a new Buddha image in a temple shrine room, you will have a ritual where the recital of the Dharma chakra, the first turning of the wheel of the Dharma, which means the first sermon of the Buddha, which he gave to his first 5 disciples, who didn't believe in him, told him to piss off. But he asked them, look, at least answer this. Did I ever lie to you? And they could not say yes. They said, no, you never lied. He said, well, at least listen to me. And they listened, and they received the first sermon, and that is called the Dharma chakra. And so when you open the eyes of a Buddha, in the Buddha blessing ceremony, a Buddha Abhisek, Buddha Abhiseka, if you look in Wikipedia, Buddha Abhiseka, Abhiseka, or no H-A, just K-A. Buddha Abhiseka. There's a book somebody wrote about it, Opening the Eyes of the Buddha. In Google Books, you can find it, an excerpt. And it's what made me write in my Buddha Magic, one of the issues, I can't remember, I think number 2, but I'm not sure, or number 5. The whole sequence of how the Buddha Abhiseka, the Buddha Abhisek, of installation of a new Buddha image inside a temple is done, and how 5 monks must be present. You need coconut water, you need holy water, you need the victory candle, you need this sequence, you need the chanting of the Dharma chakra, the turning of the wheel of the Dharma, which is basically a recounting of what the Buddha did after he left his 5 disciples, went off on his own and became enlightened, how he did it, and each realization he came to on the way to becoming enlightened. The Eightfold Path, basically, how he achieved jhana, the 4th absorption of complete absorption. Now, I've achieved certain. If I was a monk, I would have to stop being a monk if I said this, because you're not allowed to say it, but I'm not a monk. So I have achieved jhana. I won't say first, second, third, or fourth, which one. I would say that second jhana would mean that if I went like this, I've made my skin and my hair stand up like that, you would say that is chi, that is prana energy, and that can only be present with at least the first jhana, first level of absorption, of concentration. Now the fourth level of concentration, yeah, that goes away. The fourth level of concentration is where the 4 iddhipadas, the 4 exertions are achieved, and where, I'm trying to zoom out now, where power is achieved. And so to the book again, the book says that in any Buddha Abhiseka or any blessing of amulets or Buddha images, at least one of the 5 people present, or if it's a lay master, the one person present, who is empowering, must have at least one person who has achieved the 4th level of jhana. Because only such a person has the insight, understanding, and has attained the ability to actually imbue an amulet with power, right? Now, Ajarn Po Ngern, who was the Krupa Ajarn of Ajarn Bee, who made these, was a lay master, which most Singaporeans and Malaysians know, Indonesians know, and I suppose a lot of Farang, Westerners know. Farang is a horrible word. Farang means Français, which means Français, French, because they were the first people who turned up Indochina Wars, right? And so they call us all French. Farang. Français. ผมไม่ใช่ฝรั่งเศสครับ I'm not French ผมอังกฤษครับผมไม่ได้เป็นฝรั่งผมเป็นเมืองผู้ดี I'm from the land of the gentlemen. Not that there are any gentlemen in England anymore, but anyway, I think they all left. There are more gentlemen in Singapore than in, you know, just to go off topic for a second, because most of my subscribers are from Singapore or Malaysia and have the same sentiments, even though they're from different nations, because Singapore once was Malaysia and one day will be Malaysia again. I think Singaporeans know that. It's the only way. I don't hate Singaporeans. A lot of people think I do. How could I do that when I have so many Singaporean friends and my own son is Singaporean? Impossible. I'm very concerned for the people of Singapore. What I do is I hate the Singaporean state, which many Singaporeans would agree with me. Publicly not in a forum, because their own government would. I got kidnapped in the doorway of an aeroplane for criticizing them in Thailand. They got to reach me that far. And so if you find, sometimes I say, you Singaporeans, you're cowards. I'm sorry for that. It's when I'm having a PTSD attack. And when you have a PTSD attack, you say things you don't know what you're saying or you don't mean. You can get nasty sometimes. But just, if I ever do that, just say, oh, Spencer's thinking about his kidnapped son. He's angry with the Singaporean justice. He's lost the plot. I'm only human, man. My son's Singaporean, and I really don't want him to have a judicial caning. I don't want him to be conscripted into the army, and so on and so on. And I don't want him to lose his child like I did, just because the Singaporean family justice is ruled by owned by the Women's Society, which tells you a lot. It means in 95% of divorce and custody cases, the woman is going to get the kid. So, Ajarn Loi Po Ngern, as I was saying, it was a lay master. Sorry to bring my own issues in there, but might as well if I have watchers. And people want to know the truth about this. A lot of people on forums in Singapore talking about me and my wife's family. I've been written to and heard that my wife's family and her triad gang from her dad are posting shit about me all over the internet, saying I'm violent and I hit her and God stuff. God, I don't know what. Which I haven't responded to because the Buddha was accused of many things in his life, and his 10 armies of Mara, if you study the stories, actually the 10 armies, the last one was a philosopher who thought his idea was better. The second to last one was a woman who stuck a log up her dress, was paid to pretend she was pregnant, and accused the Buddha of having raped her. And she stood there for hours, shouting her ass off at him with bystanders. And the Buddha sat silently and did not do nothing about it. And do you know what happened? At some point, she let go of the log and it fell out from under her dress and she was exposed. And the Buddha's innocence became obvious. And the crowd dispersed, knowing. And the woman was exposed. And so all of the shit that's being spoken about me on forums in Singapore and Facebook and people talking what I don't see, but people are telling me, people are being said about me, I just remain silent because the more lies you tell, at some point, the higher you build the Tower of Babylon, which is lies, the further you fall. And at some point, if you played that game with wooden pieces, where you stack them on top with each other, at some point it falls down. So just leave them and they will fall down themselves. A pratngang. Which kind? I can get a pratngang right now. I just wiped my nose because I've got snot falling out of it. Anyway, just let me finish this. Ajahn Phaidam. I wanted to say about Ajarn Loi Po Ngern, right? That everybody knows him as a lay master, but he was actually a monk for a very long time and got his Wicha there and passed that on to Ajarn Bee. Please don't ask me if Ajarn Bee also ordained as a monk or if he was just a lay master, because I'm in the process of research on Ajarn Bee in the moment. As for those who are looking at these and think, I know Ajarn Bee, I've been after one of those for ages. There's 4 of them. If you've seen one, you can see these are authentic. They don't know how to wrap them the way he does, because it takes a long time to learn how to wrap it like that. So he learned from Ajan Loy. So if you can't afford Ajan Loy, not that Ajarn Bee's cheap, but he's a little bit less than Ajan Loy and more or less the same, preferred and same power. So I'm going to switch cameras now to my ugly face because I don't want to show my whole house, although I have nothing to hide. And you want to see a pratngang? Or you want me to educate, or you want me to show? I'm going to show one now. I will go get a pratngang, but not a pratngang from Ajahn Sompong or a pratngang from Lumbuki or anything like that. I'm going to get a pratngang from part of my museum room. Yeah. And temporary ashram space. Where are you, pratngang? He's in here. I'm sorry it's dark. I don't have a flash on this. Do I have a flash? Oh, I have a flash. Look at that. Well done, Facebook, for once. So, especially for Ajahn Phai Dam, here is a Prat Ngang. And this is a Prat Ngang which probably is made from wood, and it has, as you can see, an inku. Can you see? An inku in the back here, which actually tells me where it's from, but it could be of two masters, because some temples and masters used inku or nangwak and stuff like that were actually made and then ordered and then blessed differently by each master. And some of them were pressed and made by each master with their own special block press, which is why the Nangwak of Luang Po Kuai and I believe Luang Po Thap or Mechi Bun Ruan look very similar, and some Chonburi masters, because they were what you call Ngan Sang, which is made for temples, and each temple takes them and blesses them separately, sacred, but they were made using sacred substances, but en masse for more than one temple. That is what you call Ngan Sang. These days you see a lot with modern amulets. This one here, as you can see, is Lana. Yeah? The Lana people, the Thai, the long necks, and different hill tribes of the Lao. This is Lao style for me, of the Lao Burmese Thai border, yeah? It's a grey line. Which does it belong to? It's all imaginary, the lines on a map. You know, if you travel from Liverpool to Leeds, you know, so, what's up, lad? What's up, lad? Hey up, lad. All right, lad. It's two different ways of saying, hello, how are you doing? And you're talking about 50 miles. So if you travel 50 miles, you've got a different tribe, a different language. I will see you soon too. So this is probably from Kruba Chum or Kruba Wang, but it might be very, very much older. What's for sure is it is undefinable, too hard to define, and very old, and Lana, made from sacred wood, and it's not for sale either, it's mine. And it's going back in here. Oh, and this is the book that everybody wants from Ajahn Chum Chai Kiri of the micro, yeah, the book of how to use the micro of Ajahn Chum Chai Kiri. This micro is mine because, as you can see, my Payong Dang, the Payong Dang wood, is very sacred and only happens once in 100,000 trees. It's a spiny tree, spiny bark. And only one in 100,000, they're usually white, turns out in red, yeah? And this one is in the beigey color, yeah? So, for some reason, this particular tree, 1 in 100,000 this way, 1 in 100,000 this way, we have 2 in 1, carved from a Payong, sorry, a Payong tree, Payong Dang, ka Payong Dam, sorry, Payong Dang, ka Payong Dam, split in half with the leg lay inside, and also the other version, the Mai Galabang Ha Dam black coral version with meat maw, Papicanet, Ganesh, handled meat maw of Ajahn Chum also, all three. And this book comes with the micro or came. They didn't make as many books as they did micro, unfortunately, which is why this book is so revered in itself. Because this book, I haven't even got to educating people about Prat Ngang yet. This book explains how to use the micro and the meat maw, how to make holy water, how to heal, how to use the butt of it, how to use the tip of it, when to use the tip or the butt, what to chant, all the methods. But also it's forbidden. In this book, Ajahn Chum forbids everybody who does not have one to see it, to see what it says inside, yeah? To see the contents of what it says inside, yeah? Inside is a long explanation of what to do, yeah? Of how to use it. But only he who possesses one should possess the explanation of how to use it, right? And for Lana, this is also very old. Lana, a kind of pa ber, me ber, or inku. Prat Ngang, to talk about Prat Ngang, I would say that Prat Ngang, first of all, to disperse some confusion about Prat Ngang amulets, then I would say some of the Prat Ngang, if they have like, let's say, like a pointy crown on top of them, not like a curved, wound piece of hair, then that is not a Prat Ngang. It's a Prat Chai. And the Prat Chai is related to a historical figure in Thai history with meritorious acts in Buddhism, and a monk, yeah? So if you are praying to Prat Chai, you should not be doing necromancy rather than an auspicious Buddhist practice, even though they look different. The word Chai means to win, which of course, even Thai people make the association between the names of things, nama in Pali, Sanskrit, yeah? You have form and name, yeah? And so the name of something lends an attribute in your imagination. For example, I say, Maha Niyom, Maha, great, Niyom means prefer, great preference. And so here there is a tree called Matyom, which sounds like Maha Niyom, sounds like an abbreviation of Maha Niyom. And so the Mayom wood is considered to be sacred for the power of Mahaniyom, because Matyom is an abbreviation of Mahaniyom. But the thing is, that's name and conditioned how the mind attributes qualities to things in your own imagination, yeah? Because the Matyom tree in Timbuktu might be called the asshole tree or the fucking liar tree, right? Which would cause you to attribute a different magical power to it, just because it has a different name. And every tree has a different name in every different language. And so, if you're going to Nibbana and deconditioning your mind, you're not going to be practicing much magic, because to practice magic, you have to condition things. You have to grab a stone and feel its hardness in jhana until everything becomes impenetrable. And that impenetrability, the quality of it, the actual essence of it, the element, the elemental essence of it, if you have prana and can transfer it into objects, If you have that Wicha, you know how to do that. Because everything has a frequency and a vibration. Every thought, every movement, every atom is oscillating. Even clocks that move, they all go by GMT. The GMT clock is basically, it's the smallest particle that pulses. Everything has a pulse, yeah? And its pulses, it's on and off or it's flashing, yeah? We use that to measure a second, yeah? 1 second is just one pulse of that particular particle, or 1 millisecond probably actually, yeah? And so time is just counting how many times this particular smallest kind of particle that we can use to measure with flashes. That's what makes a millisecond or a second. Movement of something, counting a movement of something physical in space, time, in space to you. Yeah. And so it's conditioning. So, if you want to practice magic, you condition it. You grab the hardness, you go into jhana, you feel the impenetrability. You take that impenetrability, that quality, and that... a stone is impenetrable to a certain extent. It's impenetrable to bullets. Might get a slight scar or something, or deflect. And so that if you could actually imbue an object with that, then why shouldn't it deflect a bullet? So you are invoking Cleoclad, Kongrapan magic. I use that example because I'm not very good at Kongrapan. I'm more into long life, good health, wealth, happiness, happy families, and go to be reborn in one of the paradisical realms, at least. And that's the kind of spells I would cast. Yeah. Yeah. Because make this loving husband and wife with children break up so that I can have her or I can have him. You ask me to do that. I get a lot of emails, like, do you do black magic, or do you do spells for people and stuff, that are usually ego-based and based on desire of wanting the world to be the way you can't make it be, and non-acceptance of the way things are. Like, how can I make this person like me? Which amulet is going to make them like me? Well, if you're a person who drives people away through your behavior, your character, and your way of expression, which I am in many times, I can be like that. Many of you have seen me like that. I say, oh, fuck this guy, We can all be like that. So, but if you're like that all the time, who's going to like you, with or without an amulet? Or like, if you get an amulet to get a new job, right? To help you get a new job, not to get you a new job. First mistake, think that. To help you get a new job, first of all, getting the amulet, you're going to condition your mind that this amulet is helping you to get a new job and should help you. And the confidence it gives you to hang an amulet around your neck when you walk out the door, I feel more protected. Whether I am or not, could debate that together another day. Yeah, but for sure, even if magic wasn't real, when a person takes a holy cross of Jesus, or a person takes a Buddha amulet, yeah, or a Muslim takes whatever he uses to make himself feel safer, and walks out the door with that, your heart is lighter, you have less suffering, and you have less fear of a car accident or something like that. And so, do amulets work? Well, of course they do. They lighten suffering because they make you feel better when you put them on. Isn't that enough? And this confidence might, assuming and from me knowing that magic exists, your mind will then be prepared to perform that magic. Because here's the other thing, you also asked me for the kata, and then you think that the amulet was made by a magician who's put magic in it, but you're not a magician. But hey, hang on a minute, huh? You're sat there putting candles, invoking devas, and reciting ancient incantations to empower your amulet. That's what you do when you recite a kata. So what are you doing? You're making magic. So you think, oh, Rusi Sam, sorry, that's what they call me in Thailand, Rusi Spencer, or just Ajan Spencer, or just Spencer. Because the rest is imaginary. I'm no different to you, except that I've got one tooth here and none more. Yeah, I'll get it done, don't hassle me. One day when I'm ready. I'm scared. I'll have our fears. I'm scared of dentists. I'm not scared of the Buddha though. Are you scared of the Buddha? Anybody here scared of Buddha? Anybody here think they've done something bad so they think Buddha will punish them? If you do, you're wrong. Because the Buddha has no enemies. He gave all of that up. He stopped. That's what he told Angulimala, the guy who killed 999 people, to take the little fingers, make a mala, and when he got 1,000, he would be the all-knowing. And the thousands were supposed to belong to the Lord Buddha. Yeah? Tried to kill him, couldn't catch him, gave up, fell on the floor panting, said, please stop, how can you do this? The Buddha turned around and said, Angulimala, you're a good guy, you believe you're protecting what you think is right, Brahmanism, but you are wrong. You've been tricked by a mountain spirit who told you he was Brahma, and he sent you out on a very evil mission because he was a puta, the poot in Thai, we call poot, P Prai, the Hong Prai, the very powerful spirits of limbo, yeah, spirits stuck in limbo, yeah, ghosts, powerful ones, good liars, deceivers, the 7 sons of Belial. It might have been one of the 7 sons of Belial. If you were Christian, you might have called it that. So, Angulimala, you have been tricked. But your meditations are powerful and you have the ability to become enlightened. So listen to me. Enter your meditation as good as you always do and how you know how to do it, and listen to my sermon. And he entered into his jhana, and the Buddha just placed a little, he didn't actually, he did in a movie, but in the movie he places a little pearl of light in front of the third eye of Angulimala. What happens actually is that before you enter jhana, the first jhana, when you enter first jhana, what happens is you'll know it by this. Unless you focus on it and stay stuck on that, then you won't go any further. Is that like a little candle flame or a little light, like a UFO or something, just blazes up like that and then goes out again as your eyes are closed, and you're in the darkness. And the darkness, just this little light incends and then extinguishes. And your mind then enters into a more subtle state. And what that means is that you've just passed the first portal into the first level of absorption called first jhana, which isn't much of an achievement, by the way. You can do it. Everybody can do that. If somebody teach you how to do it, or you try hard enough, you can do it. It's very easy. Second jhana, also not so hard. If you can do that, They say to empower amulets, you need full jhana, fourth jhana. Like I said, there must be one member, one monk, or one member of the ceremony there who has achieved fourth jhana to be able to open the eyes of a Buddha statue and empower it, or to imbue amulets with true, real, true magical power, true Buddha magic, to make real power, like people want, expect, and believe there should be, and believe there is, but know that not every amulet has it, and not so many thousands and millions of Ajahns can do it. Fourth jhana is not something that many people on the planet can achieve. Second jhana, you can achieve certain powers, which is where we have Sakyant masters, and we have to a certain level, healing and stuff like this, but it's quite limited in its power to assist and help, because it's not fully empowered. It's only as if, and try and think of a comparison, as if you had a boat with 5 propellers, but only 2 of them were working. With 4 propellers, but only 2 of them work. So you can still sail the ocean, but if a big storm comes, you won't be able to deal with those waves, because you need all 4 propellers going, right? So you've got 4 jhanas. And so to be really powerful, you need to get all 4, not 2. But 2 is enough to actually put power in. Yeah. So if you have 2, you should be able to make your hairs stand up and your whole body covered in goosebumps and your whole body like buzz all over, like a tingly feeling all over, and actually follow the line of the chi, the prana energy through the kundalini, through the snake-like channels along the spine. You should notice how it travels through the shoulder blades, along all of the different capillaries, and out through the body into the bloodstream, how it comes out through the pores of the skin. And that's why you get goosebumps, because it's the air that you took in. I always take it in. If I get goosebumps, I always... And if you look at a yogi who does it, or who just enters this state without showing goosebumps, or what do you call it? Piloerection. Yeah, in science you call it, your hair is standing on end. If you stand on a plastic thing with a Van de Graaff generator and touch it, and you've got volts going through you, your hair stands up, but you don't get killed. Same thing, static electricity, yeah? So, enter into first jhana, a yogi will go like this, watch. He'll tuck his chin in, like this. And he will do that with his abdomen as well. I didn't know that, happened to me accidentally, found out how to do it accidentally a couple of months before I became a monk. Might as well do some diary, because I've been planning to do my memoirs. So might as well, if I die, drop dead or something, then, people who know my life story, they say, you should write a book, man. You've done so many things, been so many places. And people should know about this. But I'm too lazy to write a book. And some of this stuff, I just can't tell because it's secret. I'm not allowed to tell you. A lot of the best stuff I can't tell about my life, which pisses me off, because some cool stories there to tell, but I can't, because I can tell my own secrets, but not that of others. Yeah? But to empower things and to get this prana, I would say when you meditate, tuck your chin in, suck your abdomen in, yeah? And breathe in. I like to do it through here, but you can do it through the nose. And you should actually feel going down your spine, the air should actually unblock. You might not do it at first. Keep trying and trying and trying and trying. And at some point, hopefully, for sure some of you, because I've talked of this with somebody sat next to me on a bench at Wat Bang Prat after a Sakyant session, Wat Bang Prat in Nakhon Pathom. He hired me as a guide many, many years ago, probably 20 years ago. Wonder where he is now. And we were talking about this. And so I showed him, and I said, anybody can do it, you know, because I've just got a body and blood and 5 khandhas, 5 aggregates like everybody else. It's a physical thing. It's nothing special. It's not a psychic special power that some people have and others don't. It's something that anybody can do. So he looks at me. I said, do you want me to try to show you? He said, yeah. So I just tried to explain in my own way and had to go, and I was just talking about it and sat next to him. The other thing is that if you get it, here's the what would you call it, the superstitious bit of it, but I've seen it happen so many times that I believe it. And that I heard somebody told me this after they saw me do it. They said, you know, this is contagious as well. It can happen that you talk to somebody or you sit with somebody and that the people around you get it as well. And so we were talking to him, we were going on. All of a sudden, he did it. And my teaching is when it happens, I'll go, stay there and remember the mood. Think what you're thinking. Look at what you're doing with your mind when it happens. And remember that, and then just re-invoke that abstract thing what you're doing that makes it happen every time. And when it went away, talked for a few minutes, I said, right, see if you can do it again. See if you can remember what you did with your mind and do it again. And he went, did his thing, and 10 seconds, 20 seconds, goosebumps, hairs standing up all over. He said, shit, man. I can do it too now. And he was doing it on the bus all the way home. I says, don't worry about doing it too much, but don't get fascinated with it, because the road to enlightenment, you have to leave that behind. It's just one of the, it's like you pass through Richmond on the way to York, yeah? But you don't stop in Richmond and never go to York because you found Richmond. So you don't stay with goosebumps and hair standing up on your head and this buzzing feeling that gives you an ego buzz, because ego is still present in the first jhana and the second jhana. The third, it starts to dissolve, and the fourth, it's not there at all. Sukha, pleasure. Pleasure is involved with, there has to be a self there enjoying it. Yeah? But true peace, there's no self there enjoying himself. Yeah? There's just peace. And that's the fourth jhana. Yeah. But anybody can do it, so try it. And I said to him, don't worry about doing it too much. Don't get too fixated upon it. Keep moving forward, and at some point you'll realize that to get to the next stage, I'm going to have to leave that one behind completely, forever. And you will, because from being a step forward, at some point it becomes an obstacle to go further. It brings you so far. Like you've got a boat, you use the boat to get across the stream, but once you get to the other side of the stream, you don't drag the boat with you, unless you're in a load of places with loads of streams and you know there's another one in 100 meters and you're going to need it again. Okay, but just to make the point, you cross the river and you use the ferry boat to get across. Once you've crossed to the other continent, you don't go to put the ferry boat in your rucksack and take it with you. You leave it there because you don't need it anymore, right? So once you've achieved the first and second and third jhana and you see fourth jhana appearing before you, you don't stay in third jhana just because you don't want to leave it behind. You just drop it and go into fourth, right? So prangang, if you're praying to a prangang with the pointy head, the crown, you're praying to pratchai, and that's a different kind of thing. It's praying for success, and pratchai is a meditating monk or a meditating, I would say a meditating royal, or they had city-states in those days, so you'd say a meditating lord or something, yeah, in the forest, and very Buddhist still. And that if you're praying to the one with the points going up like that, looks like a big dreadlock curving, that is Prat Ngang. And the dreadlock curving itself represents, of course, what they do in India, the Rusi. They wind their hair up into a top knot, and it gets longer and longer and longer until at some point it starts to bend because it's too long. So it's basically the curved, bendy top knot dreadlocks of a Rusi meditating in the forest. Yeah? But in common culture and common greed and common desires, people would say that the Prat Ngang is something for gambling, or something that, what a lot of Thai people do is a Prat Ngang should have the ability to, if you hang it under the stairs that go up to your top floor, and a lady in her skirt walks up the stairs, as she walks over the stair with the Prat Ngang on it, the Prat Ngang will turn over, yeah? Now, most Prat Ngang will have some metal in them. And the magicians who demonstrate that usually use a magnet to make it happen. There's a video on YouTube, I showed it once, of ladies walking on a white cloth with the Prat Ngang on the white cloth. And as they stepped over it, the Prat Ngang turned over and moved about, yeah? What I did was blow up the video and crispen it up and show people that what happened was that there was a piece of very thin fishing line tied around the big toe of the sorcerer, the supposed sorcerer, yeah, which went under the carpet and the white sheet and was tied to the Prat Ngang, the Prat Ngang. So if you watch the video, every time that a woman walks over the Prat Ngang and it moves, you see his feet move from just standing normal to move 1 foot sideways, so he's standing in a T shape. And then back and forwards, you can see him moving his foot, making the Prat Ngang wiggle. Yeah? And these are, a real Rusi has to... A real Rusi has to learn all of the trickeries so that he can distinguish trickery from real magic, yeah? Don't you think? And also so that you're not a fool. So it's very important for all Rusi to not just learn real Wicha. It's important for real Rusi to learn what is a trick. Like, I could cut my tongue off and put it back on in front of you. And unfortunately, quite a few of you might believe me. What you might not know is that I've been going like this with my tongue, putting it in the back. I can also almost swallow my own tongue, you know, and have a piece of pig liver in my mouth. Or a piece of beef tongue, or whatever I find to be closest to the look of my own tongue, yeah? Or I could just keep my own tongue inside all the time and use this tongue, a piece of beef tongue, yeah? And make it come in and out. And then stick it out again, the beef tongue. I'm holding a small piece between my teeth, and I'll take a knife and I cut it off. Right? And I swallow the tiny bit of beef, raw beef. I like raw beef. In Thailand, we eat raw beef. So I'll swallow the bit of raw tongue. Yeah? And then I will take the piece of raw tongue that I cut off, stuff it back into my mouth and swallow it. and then put my tongue out and show you that it's back in one piece again. Yeah? And you'll say, wow, Ajahn Spencer can cut his own tongue off and put it back on again. So, is magic real? Yeah, of course it is. But are there tricksters? Yeah, of course there are. Do they go to Singapore? Yeah, of course they do. Would a true practitioner that's not interested in money at all and not interested in helping greedy people to make money and overcharge people for something that should be free go to Singapore to perform rituals? That's a real Rusi? Nah, he wouldn't. He'd stay in the forest or in his cave, which in my case is a house with 2 dragons on the door. But it's still a cave because I'm in here alone with my museum and my kampi and my rusi and my stuff. Yeah, well, not my stuff, but this stuff around me. And my Pong Prai Kuman, and my Si Pung, and my Naman Tang Il for making amulets, and my bottles for Naman Prai, my stuff, my Ajahn Chum. That's what you see me on my head most, more than this face. And Poget, I'm not sat there with a queue of people paying me for a tattoo. No, I'm not. Definitely not. And if you asked me to go to Singapore to make tattoos, I'd say, I'm sorry, I can't, because they'll arrest me for criticizing the judiciary, which is why they won't let my son travel to Thailand to see me from age 5 to age 16. He's 11 now, by the way, because they want me to travel there to see him so they can arrest me on arrival, and it's why they tried to kidnap me in the airport in Suvarnabhumi. So I'd say, I'm sorry, I can't come, but if you did ask me and say, look, we're not one of those, I won't mention the names, one of those people who invite fake or greedy Rusi to make mask blessings and sakyant and not to give Dhamma teachings, because I don't see any of them giving you any Dhamma teachings. The Ajahns who visit in Singapore and Malay, or Taiwan, or Hong Kong, or wherever, China, or the West where you are. Well, actually, the teachers who go to the West, they're not Sakyant masters, they're Tibetan monks and British and American and Thai monks and stuff, and they teach. But I'm talking about Ajahn Sakyants and Ajahns, what you call Ajahns. What I'd like to say is, any of the samnak in Thailand you've been to for a Sakyant or amulets, and even some temples, with a Kruba Ajahn, what you call the Kruba Ajahn, your Ajahn, yeah, your chosen Ajahn. How many of them, before they give you an amulet and take some money off you, or give you a sakyan and take some money off you, actually do anything else except tell you your future, which isn't here yet, and your acts right now and in the next days is what's going to decide it, not what they're telling you? Yeah? Do they give you a Dharma lesson? And do they teach you to meditate? And do they teach you the path to end all suffering? And do they teach you how to chant your katha? And do they teach you the meaning of your amulet or your sakyant? And do they have a practice session? Like before a Dharma talk with a monk, there will be a small meditation, then there'll be a talk, then there'll be a real meditation based upon the talk, and then there'll be a questions and answers, right? And so I would say, if in Singapore you invited me and said, we're not one of those guys who are really making money, we want people to have sakyant who don't drink and who are practicing. Some of them wear white, some of them are like wear white. Ladies, a lot of Chinese Singaporean and Malay Singaporean ladies like to wear white and don't have to stay in a temple but keep their precepts. And there are Ajarns, not Thai Ajarns, Chinese Ajarns, and this goes back 5,000 years, older than Thailand itself, yeah, and the power of Qi and Chinese healing and herbalism. You have your Ajarns too, but Rusi is Rusi, yeah, and these countries and the people of the Buddhist people of these countries and the spiritually minded people of these countries are interested in the path of the Rusi, and people want to know about the Rusi, and a lot of Rusi are coming to Singapore and Malaysia. But what I'm trying to say is, without criticizing, because I can't say I know everybody who's going there, is that beware, because the first sign of a Rusi, well, good signs of it, not the first sign, good signs of a Rusi is often your questions might be answered with another question to make you think for yourself. Might be the mark of a Rusi, yeah? So, is it good if they do that to me? I might say, well, is it good if you do that to them? Or is it good if I do that to them? I would say, well, would you think it's good if they did it to you? It's a question, but it's rhetorical. And the answer, instead of being told the answer and have to believe it blindly, you think about it and then you realize the answer, which means you make it real, to realize, yeah? To plasticize is to turn it into plastic. To realize is to turn it into reality, meaning to turn it into real knowing, not just believing, which is why the Buddha said, don't believe me, try it yourself, or ask yourself. Yeah? Don't let me tell you what you're like, or if I do, at least look at yourself and ask yourself if that's what you're like. It's not a nice practice, by the way, but it's very, very productive. That the practice of looking at yourself and trying to find what you're hiding from yourself and seeing what you don't like about yourself and seeing what you'd like to change but don't seem to be able to and wondering how you're going to, that's all part of Dharma practice. Or just being a person who's trying to better himself for spiritual or just ethical reasons. Yeah. And this kind of practice of self-perusal and self-introspection is also what I call the practice of the Rusi. Because the Rusi, really, you won't see him sat there doing sakyant, taking money all the day. A Rusi, really, he likes solitude. He likes to be in the forest, yeah? And just having a little walk. The Rusi, he likes to be in the forest, and he likes solitude, yeah? No, it's not going to work. I wanted to go into the forest, but nobody can see me now. Can have some light, maybe. Can you hear it? The crickets. I've been talking a lot. Let's have a moment. The Rusi likes solitude. He doesn't like traveling in airplanes to go make money in other countries. He might make a tattoo on somebody he thinks can keep the tattoo with its power. Through his precepts. Can you hear them? So just being there with that sound and not thinking words. This is what the Rusi likes. The Rusi also likes books. That could have been a meditation. We'll do that another day. I'll get a light so you can see the forest. Because there's 6,500 meters of land around here. How did I get out? Where I can place us in some nice places for meditation. And we can meditate. We could do some vipassana gammatana and try to get to jhana. We could try to get to jhana. We could try to get to jhana. And so, a Rusi, he likes books. He likes to stay with solitude. He likes the forest. He likes knowledge. He likes self-introspection, which people call meditation. And he's trying to achieve more or less the same thing as before the Buddha came along. All we had was Rusi. I mean, the beggars of, I suppose you want to see this. This is the official Busha area. Somdetto, Prapitta, Tawetsuwan, Prapatan Pon 2508, with His Majesty King Rama IX performing the casting ceremony. Same again on the golden one behind Wat Bawan. This is Prat Nang Paya from Wat Nang Paya. This is Luang Po Sothon. And this is Sankajai. And this is Tawetsuwan. And this is Luang Pu Supa. And that is Luang Po Ngern. Somewhere here. There, Luang Po Ngern. Yeah, that's a lot. Butuwat. And this is where I keep some of my Kampiyan. Oops. Where I keep my kampi and inside this box here. Which is another thing that the Rusi like to do. And so, how many Ajahns who so many people follow? So a lot of people say, why does Ajahn Spencer say, fuck? Or I would say, well, why does a 20 to 30 year practicing monk of the Ajahn Shah tradition, who was a very, very good monk, on his website say, open quote, I say fuck a lot, close quote. And why did the Buddha say, I'd rather eat shit than pussy? Why does Ajahn Spencer say fuck? Because every Ajahn says fuck in their own language. Either to themselves when nobody's looking, or when somebody's looking. And one of the reasons I say fuck is to show that nobody's perfect, and don't ever, ever, ever watch the teacher, watch the teachings. Because if you watch the teacher, you're going to be disappointed, mate. Because there's only one teacher who isn't going to make a mistake that's going to disappoint you, and he's been dead for 2,500 years. And his name is Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. Yeah. And so, my point in my rants on Facebook, and then making some really great videos or podcasts or information about Rusi, like the post I made of some photos saying I'm making a slideshow about how to make bailan, how bailan powders are made, yeah. Right, so better get done before I forget the information. I've saved all the images. And a lot of people are waiting for that video documentary. So how can Ajahn Spencer make the best, most informative information that other Ajahns don't give, but his behavior is so erratic? There's a point to this. It's to show that I'm not a pretender like the other ones, because the other ones are erratic as well. They just are so clever through their greed of wanting disciples and donations that they learn how to pretend to be perfect when somebody's looking and never say fuck when somebody's listening. But if they're sat with somebody who trusts them, who's not going to reveal their secret, they will say fuck. Because I've sat with enough Rusi and monks and heard them say fuck. And so I'm not the only Ajahn who says fuck. That's my answer to everybody who's asking. I've seen it asked in different places. Ajahn Spencer says fuck. And what I'm really sorry about is that, as I said, I've heard that there are people talking about me on forums, and that certain members of the family of my of the person who abducted my son are posting loads of, just like if you try and find, like why are people using Facebook less in Google, the first 2 pages is all the same posts of paid bloggers, which the government have paid to get on the first 2 pages of Google, that say more people are using Facebook every day. Sorry, Facebook have paid bloggers, the top bloggers, to fill up the first two page of Google results that say there's more people using Facebook all the time. When actually, if you dig past those fake newses, you find that statistician websites that are showing that actually Facebook usage has dropped by about 20 to 25% during the last month or two. Disgusting. So why does Ajahn Spencer say fuck? Because everybody says fuck, but I just don't pretend that I don't. And to show that I'm not perfect, instead of pretending to be one of those Rusi who pretends he's perfect. Because I can't stand it, that I know they're not perfect. They're just human. They're not sodabanas, stream enterers, most of them. A lot of them are just businessmen. A lot of them became Rusi because they didn't finish school, so they're not going to get a job in a bank. A lot of them think it's cool to have a lot of followers. There's monks like that. The Buddha talks about it. That greed is, you can be greedy for money, but there are monks who are greedy, but they don't have any money. Well, some monks do, like Lumpu Nain Kam, who ran away with his Ray-Bans and his Louis Vuitton to America and got brought back and arrested. But anyway, you could be greedy for fame. You could be greedy for lots of followers. But you might believe in the teachings of the Buddha and give good teachings and just want to really, really bring these teachings to people, but you might have this thing that you want to be a great Ajarn. Yeah, a lot of people want to be a great famous Ajarn because they've read about a great famous Ajarn and so impressed by it. I mean, you know, aren't all our superheroes basically emulations of what we ourselves would like to be? Because for me, the Buddha, that is my epitome of how I would like to be. No? But some people think, look at this Ajahn, he's got hundreds of disciples, he does cool tattoos. Tattoos are cool, they're magical, it's wow. You know? It's called falling by the wayside. I call them flowers on the side of the road. You can forget the goal and get lost on the journey, picking up flowers on the side of the road. And that is like, I got a second jhana, I know now how to empower a sakyan. So I'm going to open a sakyan salon, a samnak sakyan. Doesn't mean I haven't achieved anything. That is a great achievement as well. You've meditated enough to be able to empower that. You studied, even if you haven't, you've studied enough to be able to write the ancient scripture. Even if you can't make it powerful and you haven't learned how to meditate, even that is worthy of respect. You're a great tattooist, you can tattoo in ancient Khmer. That's worthy of respect. That's an Ajahn. That's a teacher. That's somebody who can teach. But not the Dhamma and not magic. You can teach tattooing and Khmer. And somebody who can empower, okay, that's a teacher. But he might teach you how to make a loving couple and their family break up so that some woman can get the guy. That's a black magician. Can be a teacher. Krubajan. And I get asked a lot, can you make a spell for me? I say, no, I don't do that. I don't want your karma. I don't want your karma, man. Do you think I want to get involved in that? And they offer me a lot of money, huh? You're talking about $3,000. I'll give you $3,000 if you can make these people break up. And I get this person. See you later, Steve. I'll catch your messenger. I don't have it at the moment on my phone because I get too hooked up in this goddamn internet shit. I will have a talk with you soon. See you, man. Thanks for the message. Thanks for watching. Sorry, everybody who watches this later. I was talking to a friend. Should have gone up to the boat, man. Should have shown you the boat. I don't have WhatsApp. I've got Line. I'll just download Messenger, man. I've got a lot to talk about. I think I messaged you lately, actually, didn't I? Anyway, I'll see you in messages. Yes, I will. You would. You're worse than me for teasing people. Of course I'll tease you. Anyway, this is my podcast. Get out of it. We're talking about meditation and Rusi, and this just because somebody asked me about Pratngang. So if you pray to the Pratngang, a lot of people want to do it for gambling. It's not my fault. I have ADHD. I jump from one thing to the other. But Pratngang, a lot of people use for gambling and sexy. If I put Pratngang on my website for the person who asked me that, I translate the Thai tradition. I document Thai beliefs and traditions, ancient beliefs and traditions. I've been practicing occultism since I was about 16 years old. I used to go to Leeds University Occult Society. I met Patricia Crowther of the Gardnerian Witches, the only mouth-to-ear, unbroken lineage when the Christians came to destroy Wicha, the Druids and the Wiccans, the Romans and the Christians, and the Wicha, yeah. And when I was 18, 19, I was totally absorbed in the greater and lesser keys of Solomon the King. I had every single book of Aleister Crowley, of Dion Fortune, of Israel Regardie. I had the complete works of the Golden Dawn, which, if you don't know, is something like a Freemason thing, but it's not. They're Christians, though. There's only one Rosicrucian movement that is agnostic, not Christian. But I wasn't Christian. I was studying because it's ancient Egyptian occultism derived. And whether the modern Rosicrucians and Freemasons understand that or not, through my studies of sacred geometry, astrophysics, magic, but science and magic in many different topics, and especially sacred geometry and the ancient scripts which exist within the sacred geometry spells and designs. Spells sounds cool, I shouldn't say spells. But they are spells because they are spelled. When you're writing, okay, it's a spell. Yeah. Curses and spells. Every time you say something in your heart for or against somebody, you're cursing or blessing them. It's magical. People think you have to go to a magician, but when in your heart you are emanating a harmful or a beneficial wish towards another being, you are cursing or blessing. And that mood and that feeling inside, but with a powerful mind, in conjunction with incantation and the transference of energy, of static electricity or chi or prana from your body, created by your nervous system and your physical body. It's a physical force. This is the thing, it's magic, but then again it's science, because you're actually transferring an energy, and it's measurable because I've been in the hospital and had my blood test done, and I said, can we do it again? Because she said, you're okay, you're 136 or whatever it is. Is it 136 blood pressure? I said, do it again. And she put it on and did it again, and she said, oh my God, what happened? And she was tapping on the machine. I said, what? She said it's 106. I said, try it again. She did it again. And it was 134 or something, 135. Back to normal. And she just looked, she said, how did you do that? So I just went, you see the piloerection and the goosebumps? So you can't see it probably. Anyway, I just did that. And she said, what's that? I said, well, it appears that when I control my breath and do that, my blood pressure drops by 30 within 5 seconds. Because before she started, I said to her, can you trick this machine? She said, nah. I said, are you sure? She said, yeah. Well, she was really amazed by that. You know, she asked me to do a kata for her and everything again and again. Which I did. Do you know what I did? Do you know what I said? I said this. Which I say to all beings, by the way. Get this up. It's going to fall down. I said, Sapitio vivachantu, sappa roko vinatsatu, mate pava vantarayo sukhi, tika yuko pava apivatanasili sanichang uttapajayino jattaro dhamma vatanti ayu vano sukhang palang. And all that is kind of may you have long life, good health, and wealth, and happiness. And after you give alms to a monk, that's precisely what he says. There's a way of doing it 3 times, no way of doing it 1 time. And it's a Buddhist blessing. And you don't have to be a monk to give, to wish people well. So all it is wishing people well in Pali Sanskrit. Sapitio vivachantu sappa roko vinatsatu mate pava vantarayo sukhi tika yuko pava apivatana silitsa nichang uttapachayino jattaro dhamma vatanti ayu vano sukhang palang. It's just good wishes. And so, we've just got one more thing to answer, what I started before I go, which is if I was invited to Singapore and I could go, and people wanted a sakyan, most people would get refused. I'd have a little joke with myself like I do when the kids round here, the Thai kids here, oh, it's that guy who was on TV doing sakyan to that famous interviewer in Thailand. Come and ask me for a sakyan. I'll say, yeah, sure, as long as it's in oil, not ink. And they go, I think, that's because you want a cool design to show. You want a Yan Hatel. No. Yant is not a fashion. And if they say, yeah, in oil, I'll say, okay, tomorrow. Hang about. Let's go to the kitchen first. Just easy eat. Get out of the ashram and go to the kitchen. Do you want a beer? If they say yes, you won't do it. Because if you drink alcohol, if you say no when they say, will you take it in oil? If you say yes, you'll get it in ink. Because you already proved to me that you are not here to show profession. If you say no to the beer, and say, no, I don't drink, then you get it. Because you proved that you can keep one of the rules of Sakyan. The main rule. One of the main rules. As to the other rules, there'll be just questions. Can you try your hardest not to do this? And that if you do it, that you do this to appease the yantra. And if they answer truthfully, and I will know if they do or not, because I'm 55, I don't even need magic to know if somebody's bullshitting me or not. Sorry, I don't even need magic. Then they will get it. But the difference is, it won't cost them a penny. Because my promise to Poge, was that if I ever achieve the akara, the sacred akara, and understand and gain the ability to not only draw and create and tattoo the yan, but to empower them as well, I swear I will never make a profession out of it. Which means any sakyan from me, power mode to low power mode, any sakyan from me, hi Arthur, any sakyan from me is always for free. And I think the prices that they charge in Singapore, and that even if you fly to Thailand and they know you're a foreigner and you want a big one on your back, I bet they charge you 20,000 baht or 30. So like $700 to $1,000. Whereas a Thai person would come 10 times and pay 100 baht each. 100 baht each time. So they'd pay like 50 bucks. And because some of the Ajahns who go to Singapore, when they come home and they're in their samnak, they just close it. Because a gao yard, like the one on my neck here, which you can't see, or even this one here, this here cost me, actually it cost me nothing, but if I was a paying person, this here would cost, by the most expensive Rusi I know, about 300 baht. That would be 300 baht and that would be 200. So you're looking at 500 baht for this sangwan and that, right? And the gao yod on the back was also free. Lumpi Pan, my teacher, gave it to me. It was my first ever sakyan. I have a photo of it somewhere with me with a shaved head getting a tattoo from Lumpi Pan, is that one. Yeah, or this one on this Rusi Dundong here. It's a Rusi Tawua, cow-eyed Rusi, walking. Oh, I'm not allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to turn it. I have to do it like that. He's a Rusi walking through the forest, Lumpi Pan. Unfortunately, he never paid for that as well, but I did make a donation. I think I'd probably give him about $300 donation that time, actually. And that time my friend Rodin came with me, who is a very generous person and made a massive donation as usual. So Lumpi was happy. First thing he did was call one of the people from the school across the road and said, take all this money and go buy these things for the school. Because he never takes a penny. That's why if you want to get a sakyan, you go to Lumpi Pan. And the price for a sakyan at Lumpi Pan at Wat Ko Poon, you go from Bangkok past Ayutthaya to Ang Thong towards Singburi, but about 15 kilometers before the town of Singburi, there you pass a town called Chayo. And 5 minutes after that, there's a village called Banmore. And there's a big factory on the left with a Brahma statue, and you just turn left down there. Or you get on the bus, that's going to Singbury, and you say you want to get off at Wat Koh Poon, and the guy with the takes your tickets stops the bus for you, because his price for a sakyan is 25 baht minimum. It's just, he doesn't have a price actually, because if you don't have any money, he'll still do you. He doesn't care. But just as a, so how much is a sakyan? He didn't know what to say. Actually, Luang Por doesn't let us set a price. Luang Por Pen, he was the first Looksit of Luang Por Pen, of Wat Bang Prat. He left Wat Bang Prat because it became commercial, because it's such a famous tourist attraction. He's not into it anymore. He doesn't want that attention. But his temple needs help. And Luang Pi, 25 baht. Just visit him and he'll do you a sakyan. You just sit there, you won't even have to ask for one. He'll say, hey, come on then. But I'd say, if you can afford to go to Thailand and travel to see him, if you don't have at least a little bit to give him, for God's sake, Jesus. So anyway, you know, a nice donation for him is good, but he's 25 baht, not 20,000 baht. And he'll keep going as long as you can stand it, huh? Or until he can't go anymore. He won't stop. You come out a fool if you can stand it. And you could say regards from Spencer, Ajahn Spencer, to Luang Pi Pan. He's the guy to go to. You want sakyan. If you're going to pay $1,000 for a back piece in sakyan in Singapore, you might as well pay $250 for an Air Asia cheap return flight to Thailand after COVID. Get on a bus at Morchit station for about 50 baht, $2, to get off at Wat Koh Poon. Have a noodle soup from the old lady in the temple. Have a laugh all day with Luang Pi Pan, watching, not understanding a word, but watching him like Father Christmas. Getting a sakyan, paying as little or as much as you can afford yourself within your own means, having a wonderful day and saying, oh, I'm so glad that I really listened to Ajahn Spencer and came here instead of those other places. I went to Ajahn News the other day and Wat Bang Prat and all the other places, and this was a personal, intimate, hours-long experience with the Master, who smiled and laughed. Yeah, anyone who can go see Luang Pi Pan. And as to Rusi, I'll try and make some more, less bouncing all over the place in topics about what is a real Rusi. And those of you who are interested in being a Rusi, you can have a wife, you can go to work, you can put your Rusi cloth on when you come home. When you want to practice, you can do it once a week if you want. As much as you do it, that's as much benefit as you get. As little as you do it, that's as little benefit as you get. But forbidden? No. You want somebody to show you the way? There's so many people showing everybody the wrong way. There's so many Udemy.com and Alamy.com and Shutterstock.com and teachings online and Curiosity Stream and fakenews.com and I don't know what, and spiritual teachers and Eckhart Toller's and I don't know what, who don't even know who Luang Pu Ajahn Chah is, or who Luang Pu Man is, or who the Visuddhi Maka of the Buddha, or the first sermon of the Buddha. They might have heard it but never understood it. They haven't lived in a cave as a monk. Even I've done that. Even, that's very egoistic. I have done that. Yeah? When I say even, what I mean is that even a little shit like me has done that. And spent weeks in the temple of Luang Por Pan and spent the whole night alone in the cemetery under a glot mosquito net meditating in the cemetery of Luang Por Ban, Wat Bang Nom Ko, staying in the forest on my own, in the jungle, in a cave. You don't get anything from that. You have to look inside. Going every night to the crematorium of the temple across the mountain from the jungle, where I had to go once a month to listen to the Batimoka. Every monk must do. I used to sit in front of the crematorium and watch while they push the coffin in and look at the ashes and think, that's me one day, and meditate on that. Because death is one of the things the Buddha tells you to always be aware of, because the most important thing is what mood and state of mind you're in the exact moment of death. I think that's a good teaching to end with, and for you to think about. You might do good and speak well all your life, but in the moment of death you're as angry as hell and really, really, really going AWOL. That might just ruin everything you did before. The moment of death is very important to be peaceful. The most important teaching of the Buddha is to understand dependent origination, and through that to develop the desire to become a stream enterer, imaginary concept, but to attain the state of being which is assumed to be by conditioned minds and named as stream entry, sotapanna. And that is going to be the focus of Rusiism and of Buddhism, and of any teachings I may have to give to anybody. I haven't mastered all of my teachings. I don't pretend I'm mastered. I share instantly, sometimes with the realization. Why? Not because I want to pretend I've mastered it, but because maybe somebody else is stronger than me and can actually achieve it before I do, or maybe I die and this recording might be heard by somebody else who does achieve it, and that is a victory in itself. And it's also proof that if your student gets further than you yourself ever did, then you're a bloody good teacher. So even your ego can remain if you want. You can be proud that my student has surpassed my own knowledge. Well, that must mean I'm a good teacher, doesn't it? So, my Dharma is for free. My Sakyan are very rare, but they're for free. Not all of my amulets are for free, because sometimes I need a fund for something, but 90% of them are free, and I give away a lot of other amulets that I've actually paid for. Actually, I've given away about $6,000 worth of amulets for free this year. At least. Anyway, that's a brag, and I shouldn't even be saying it. So, good night everybody, and the next time I come on with this style, it will be not to criticize or to say how to separate a real Ajarn, or why Spencer says fuck, or why sometimes I seem like a good spiritual teacher and sometimes I seem like a confused crazy ass. It will just be Dhamma. The next time I come in this kind of scenery, yeah, and answer questions about Rusi and Sakyan, well, Yant, not Sakyan, and Puttasad, Buddhism, and knowing truth from not truth and fake from not fake. So, for myself and beloved, 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 our image of what we imagine the good-hearted Rusi, with no greed or intention to trick or to make profession or to survive from the hard work of others. From me and Poga Rusi, with our promise to remain true. to those who wish to know for free, because like Ajahn Mahabua said, the Dhamma is not like goods to be sold in the marketplace. I make plenty of money from kata tutorials on YouTube and ebooks and stuff. I don't need to do that. So I hope from my little bit of understanding that my future Vipassana and my future Rusi and Buddhism podcasts may be of interest to you all, and that you won't be tricked by the charlatans, because yeah, I do care about it. I'm sure you've noticed. Merry Christmas, everybody. Good night.